All right, just gonna give it about 5 minutes maybe for some people to roll in here, and then I'll start talking about the Padres. Really good game today. Needed that one today. Got a series win today. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Let me just put it out there that I've gone live real quick. All right, that is shared. So I will be in just a minute here talking about this weekend. I'll also talk about the Giants series since last time I went live was after the Detroit opening series. All right. So since I last went live, Padres, they lost the first two against San Francisco here. They won the finale. Nick Pivetta pitched a good game. Took advantage of some sloppy play by San Francisco in terms of errors and walking guys. Then they won the series against the Red Sox this weekend in Boston at Fenway. So let's get into that. I thought they really needed a win like today. Because you look at the first three games they won this season, Saturday was kind of like, you won 3-0, got a good pitching performance, still didn't do a whole lot offensively. And it was more of a relief that you didn't get swept at home to start the year. And again, winning that last game against the Giants, San Francisco had a lot of walks, some errors in the field that the Padres took advantage of. So not like the Padres felt great about themselves again, and they were avoiding a sweep then too. So, and then the first Saturday, yesterday's game, again, they won 3-2. I mean, they did just enough. You needed a game like today where, you were down 4-0 early because Bueller put you in a hole. And I'll talk about that. Yes, they finally did heat up today, Jamie. And that's exactly where I was going with this. Because they won a game because of their lineup today for the first time this season. They were down 4-0 early because Bueller really struggled again. And I'll get into Bueller after I make the point about today's game. But, you were down 4-0, so you had to rally back. Finally got a big hit from Machado, that 3-run homer over the Green Monster. Castellanos hadn't really done anything yet. He got that big 2-run single. Merrill hit a clutch home run in the 8th inning over the Monster. And then Mason Miller. We'll just talk Mason Miller for a second. Mason Miller, oh my God, the game's over if we're winning after 8 innings because Mason Miller is just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it before. I don't understand how anybody gets a hit off him. Obviously, with the A's, I knew he was good. He was an all-star for them in 2024. But, oh, my God, I've never seen him pitch in person all these times. I don't know how anybody gets a hit off the guy. Yes, I'll get into Wandy right now, actually, Tom. Because that's the one thing that Stammen's got to do better on. Where Mike Schilt drove me crazy was that he was so stubborn about the lineup, keeping a rise in the 2-hole last year. I complained about it so much. It was so frustrating that he would do that. So I appreciate that Stammen's, mixing up the lineup to try and find the right combination. I hope he sticks with this Liriano, Tatis, Merrill, Machado 1-4. I really like the 1-4 we had today. I hope he sticks with that all the time because I think that's the best 1-4 you can get. And I like Bogarts down in the order. You can't have Bogarts behind any of the big guys because you saw Tuesday night Merrill was hitting with a runner at third, 2 outs, and Webb just pitched around him because Bogarts was on deck. And Manny walked 3 times Saturday, because Bogarts was behind him. And the teams are just not afraid of Bogarts. He's been terrible, especially with he's underachieved as a Padre as a whole, but he's been especially bad when he's in scoring position as a Padres. So Bogarts got to be way down the order, nowhere near, Merrill or Machado, so you can't have teams pitching around them. So I appreciate Stammen doing that with the lineup, but Stammen has got to stop going to Wandy in these situations. I mean, he brought him in. Okay, he was the first time he did it against Detroit, second game of the season. Okay, Wandy was pretty good last year. And, McGonigal's a rookie lefty. He needed to get one out. He didn't get it. I don't blame Stammen for that necessarily. Yesterday, a little more questionable. I know Myers struggled against lefties in his career. King probably could have got one more out to finish that sixth inning. But today was the one that ticked me off. Like, hasn't gone that third out against the lefty, and Rodriguez just struck a dude out. Rodriguez is good. I've been talking about Bradley Rodriguez since I saw him pitch in Lake Elsinore in 2024. That kid's gonna be really good. He could have got that last out. Why would you go to Wandy when he's already failed to get that lefty out? What's up, Adam? Wandy's failed to get that lefty out twice coming into today. 2 times this year, Wandy had failed to get that lefty out to end the inning. Why would you go back to it today? Well, I don't know if Morejon was available today. Someone said he threw a lot of pitches on yesterday. I didn't realize what his pitch count was, but there were some long at bats in that eighth inning yesterday. So maybe Morejon wasn't available. I don't know. Yeah, I actually thought Hart came in, he let in a hair runner score, but the next 2 innings, I thought Hart did his job. It was against the Giants that game that Stammen left him in too long, but part of that's because the starting pitching, particularly Buehler and Marquez, hadn't been going deep into games, and you need to get these innings covered somehow. And I'm going to get into that. They overcame a bad start by Buehler today, but they're not going to be able to continue doing this. So I think it was really good that Griffin Canning came down. Griffin Canning pitched in El Paso, a rehab start last night, Saturday night. He pitched pretty well, got up to 51 pitches. Hopefully that means he's 1 to 2 rehab starts away from getting into this rotation, because you got to get Buehler and Marquez out of there as soon as possible. Marquez was awful against the Giants. I don't have any faith in him with how bad he was in Colorado last year. I know Colorado's tough to pitch, coming off injury, Rockies stink. I get all that, but I mean, he had some games in spring training too where he got bombed. So, and when you're trying to compete for a job and you get bombed, it's not good. As far as who are we going to send down for Adam, I hope that they can either just DFA Wandy, which they probably won't do, or like make up some injury for him to like keep him down for a while, because Wandy's been your worst reliever so far. I like Marinaccio a lot. I actually think Marinaccio doesn't have options, so you'd have to lose him to waivers. So unless they can make up some injury for Peralta, they'll probably send down Rodriguez, because Marinaccio doesn't have options. That's a guy you don't want to lose. I think he's pretty good. I would consider putting Waldron in for whichever one of okay. So when Canning's ready, I'd put him in for one of Buehler or Marquez, and I'd put Waldron in for the other, because you're just not going to be able to get too far with Buehler and Marquez, starting 2 out of 5 games, because you look at Marinaccio went 2 innings a couple times. That's right, Jamie. Yeah, he probably is. He's not making that much money, but probably too much for them to eat it. That's the problem. They'll probably end up sending down Rodriguez because he has options and Marinaccio doesn't. I don't love that, though, because I like Bradley, but we'll see. Yeah, Buehler and Marquez, this is how bad they are today. I know the Padres overcame a bad start by Buehler today, but he's just so bad. I mean, he really lost it in the third and fourth innings against San Francisco on Monday. Marquez gave up 4 runs in 3 innings, 3 in the first. I mean, this is how bad Buehler and Marquez are. Okay, the Giants went home to San Francisco. They lost 3 of 4 to the Mets. They were swept by the Yankees opening weekend in San Francisco. And they lost again the last game of the series against us when Pivetta pitched. That means, and the Giants are 3-7 on the season. That means the Giants are 1-7. Are 1-7 when they don't face Buehler or Marquez. And 7 of those 8 games for the Giants were at home. The Giants are not a good team. And they were able to get runs early and win those games that Buehler and Marquez started for us. So those two are a real problem. Yeah, I did. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. It's so bad. It's comical how bad Marquez is. He is so bad. Like it's actually comical how bad he is. Oh my god. I mean, the guy went 3-16 with what, an ERA in the sixes last year. Yeah, Hart. I really thought Hart actually has looked good. Besides, I'll be more specific than that. Tom Hart was pretty good, other than the third inning that he pitched to the Giants game. The other, the 2 innings against Detroit, he was fantastic. The first 2 innings against the Giants, I thought he was pretty good. I know today he came in, let the inherited runner score, and I think he gave up another hit right after that. But the two full innings he pitched, I thought he did well. So Hart's fine. You just have to know when to take him out. I think, and Stammen left him in too long on Tuesday. Um, yeah, the problem with Buehler though is like you can't have a starting pitcher and then just plan to pitch him 2 innings. Like if he's like in the rotation, only pitching every 5 days, you can't have a guy who pitches 2 innings every 5 days. Like that would just destroy your bullpen. You can't do that really. So that's why he's got to go. Um, well, what I read the other day was that the team sale would um that the team sale would, it would be announced in April, but it would take like a month or two to go through, like be approved by MLB owners and all that. And if that's the case, then it's not going to impact this season at all. But in a way, to me, that's good because the Padres have been like, they've been, especially last year, 2024, you could have made a case they were a legit World Series contender and they just blew it in the division series. But last year, like, that's like a team that, they can make the playoffs, but they're not really necessarily a threat to do anything. You can't keep trading the farm system for that. Especially because how thin the farm's gotten now. Although Mayfield pitched pretty good for Fort Wayne on Friday night. That's good to see. So I don't think you're going to see a big trade deadline this year because of that. But in a way, that's okay because at some point you can't just keep trading the future at the deadline. I don't know. But I'm excited for the new ownership for a lot of reasons. But I don't think it's really going to. Unless it had already went through and they could have signed Lucas Giolito as a result, it wasn't really going to impact this season. So Marquez doesn't have a major league viable fastball anymore. His curve is good, but not good enough. We could cut him, bring up Adam, and not send anyone down. Go full bullpen games every fifth day. You could do that because you have an off day after the Colorado series at home before Seattle comes in. You have an off day after the Angel series before you go to Denver, I believe. Yes, you do. You have an off day after the Colorado series before you go to Mexico City. So you actually could do that because you have off days coming up. You have the next 7 days you'll have a game, but after that you got off days in between basically every series. So, well, you don't have an off day between Seattle and the Angels, but you only play 6 days in a row, and then you have an off day 3 days in a row. Although those 3 games are in Colorado, which can hurt your bullpen. And then you're off, and then Mexico City. Yeah, they could do that. That's a good point. I actually didn't think of that. Yeah, we weren't going to win when Liriano got hurt, especially when he got hurt. But they could have beat the Cubs and potentially Milwaukee if he didn't get hurt. But even if Liriano didn't get hurt, I don't think we were going to win the World Series last year. I mean, it is fair for people to be like, what the hell's going on? I mean, I was kind of like that myself after we lost Friday. I was like, gosh, damn, we're 2-5. We started 7-0 last year. When you have a team where people are saying like, how many more chances are they going to get? Guys are getting older, and then you start 2-5. It puts that doubt in your head. Like, is this the year it all comes crashing down? I mean, I don't know. Maybe these 2 wins will give us some hope for now that they still have another run in them. We'll see, man. I mean, you got an opportunity coming up. I mean, Seattle, they're a good team. Haven't played well to start the year. Colorado's Colorado. You got 7 games against them coming up. Angels probably still aren't good. Arizona looks pretty mediocre. So I don't know. I mean, you got a chance here to play well in April. Yeah, it was nice to see Campy. He got a hit today too to start that. He was on base when Manny hit the 3-run homer. That's good because we're gonna need Campy Sano to not be completely terrible. He has to be somewhat passable because Fermin, he's been a backup to Salvador Perez all those years in Kansas City. Fermin is not a workhorse catcher that can catch, 110, 120 games. Campy's going to play like 60 to 70 games. We're going to need him to not be completely terrible. So that was good to see from him that he got a couple hits this weekend because they need something that Campy Sano. He can't just be horrible. Yes, we should have signed Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez was really good for us in 23. We should have brought him back. And he's hitting well for Milwaukee. He can give you some thump at the bottom of the order. I was bummed they didn't sign Gary Sanchez back. Okay, so it's interesting, Adam, because I think they'll end up around where they went last year because you're right. In theory, they should be better than last year because last year you had no left fielder / DH the first 2/3 of the year. You had the two catchers, Diaz and Maldonado, 2/3 of the year who were just completely terrible. You had no bench a lot of last year. Now you got guys like Castellanos and Andujar who are like bench players / platoon players. Merrill was on the IL 3 times. Tatis didn't hit a home run for like 3 months, it felt like. And he still got to 90. Now, but you can argue, though, that, they shouldn't have got to 90. They got lucky with this, and this. They got lucky. Oh, I get that. So, all things considered, they should be around where they were last year. I mean, is it really our first win with Campy catching since 24? Oh, yeah, you're right, because Fermin caught the game we won against Detroit, caught the game we won against San Francisco, and yesterday. Yes, of course you'd rather suck in March and April than September. I mean, all these games count. Don't get me wrong, but the idea that if you're under 500 at the end of April, your season's over is not correct. So you're gonna have to start winning, though. I mean, you can't just be completely terrible in March and April. You got to hang around like 500, and that's the funny thing. After winning everyone felt like the sky was falling on Friday. Like it was an early game here because it was a day game in Boston for their home opener. And so I turned on the radio after the game. I went to lunch with a friend Friday. I had a half day because of Good Friday. I went to lunch with a friend Friday. I turned on the radio after I went to lunch with, at the very end of the game after I was done with lunch with my friend. And so I listened to the end of the game. And then Ello came on. Chris Ello and Tony Gwynn Jr.'s show. Although Matt Scraby was on there because Tony Jr. was in Boston, and Ello was kind of upset. And there was definitely a feeling of this is not good. Like, is this the end of the line? After we dropped to 2-5, losing Friday, but now after winning these last two, all of a sudden you're 4-5. 4-5 through 9 games is really not all that bad. Get to over 500. Get to 500 over by the end of April. I'll be happy. Yeah, absolutely. And you should be able to do that. You're only 1 under now. You got 7 games against Colorado this month. 4 here, 3 in Denver. Angels, I don't think are good. You got 3 against them in Anaheim. You got a chance here. Honestly, and Seattle has not. Seattle hasn't won a series yet. They split with Cleveland, and then they lost 2 of 3 to both the Angels and Yankees. So Seattle has not won a series yet. I think they're going to be a good team, but they haven't played their best yet. So this Pittsburgh series, which I'm going to preview here in a second, might be the toughest series for a bit because the Pirates have been playing really well. Yes, I'm going to talk about that, Jamie. We're facing Skeens on Tuesday, although you got Pavetta going against Skeens, so maybe he can keep it close and you can scratch out a couple against the Pirates bullpen or something. But this Pittsburgh series is going to be tough. I mean, we know about Skeens and the Pirates' young arms. We're seeing one of them tomorrow with Bubba Chandler. And then we're pitching Marquez against Bubba Chandler tomorrow. So that's not good. That's why you had to win today's game, in my opinion. because tomorrow's not looking good. You got Herman Marquez against Bubba Chandler, Skeens against Pavetta. If Pavetta's on his game, then maybe you can be close and scratch out a couple runs late after Skeens is out of the game. And then Wednesday, the day game, I believe they are pitching Mitch Keller. I'm gonna check. I'm checking this on my computer right now. I believe it's Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh on Wednesday. Yeah, it is Keller against King. That's a toss-up. You can win that game. So this is gonna be a very tough series in Pittsburgh. I mean, and the Pirates, they signed, of course, some hitters this offseason. Jamie mentioned O'Neal Cruz, a young guy they had, too, who's incredible talent, and he's hot right now. They signed O'Hearn. They traded for Brandon Lau. The Pirates have some guys who can do damage. Connor Griffin, the top prospect shortstop. Pittsburgh lost the first 2 games of the season against the Mets in New York. Since then, they've won 5 of 6. They swept Baltimore this weekend. Pittsburgh's playing well. They're an interesting young team, and this is going to be a tough series against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. It's not too often you say that against the Pirates because they've been so bad most of our lifetimes, but or at least my lifetime. But this is going to be a tough series in Pittsburgh. I think the Pirates are an interesting young team. I don't love Marquez pitching with Bubba Chandler tomorrow for Pittsburgh. That could get ugly. Hopefully it's opening day, Skeens. Yeah, can O'Neal Cruz misplay 2 fly balls in center field again? That'd be nice. Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't see what they had today, but the Pirates had 28,000 fans on Saturday. And you're going to say 28,000 fans. That's not that big of a deal. I mean, PNC only seats about 37,000 for one. And number 2 is that usually the Pirates have like 10,000 fans a game, the second game of the year. So, yeah, there's definite excitement there. And we've seen with Pittsburgh, with the Steelers and Penguins, that if you actually like put in the effort to put a team out there, Pittsburgh's going to show up for you. So you definitely want. So there's definitely a buzz around PNC that has been missing, but it's not really a surprise to me. Although a weeknight game might impact that. Oh, the other thing that made the 28,000 kind of impressive was that the Penguins were playing at home at the same time too. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting series for sure. Good to see the offense heating up though. Like I said earlier, today was a game they needed because you got the bats going. You won a game because of the offense. You didn't be like, oh, well, we got good pitching and scored just enough. Have a game where you're down in the game and you come back and win. That helps a lot. That helps a lot. I'll even say this. So Cronenworth drops the ball, what should have been a double play, gets out of the inning up 2-1 yesterday, Saturday. And when that happened, everyone's like, oh, we can't score. Chapman's coming in. He's probably going to throw a score saying we're probably going to get walked off on and lose again, and we just can't get going. But then you score in the 9th inning against Chapman. You win that game. I think it's kind of like, oh, we pulled that one out. Good job, guys. And then let's build off that. And then today you had to come back and win with the offense. So I think the way that worked out was great because let's just say you won. We turned that double play and win 2-1. Everyone's like, it's another one where it's like, we got great pitching and scored just barely enough. Not really momentum builder. Today was definitely a momentum builder. No question about that. Pitt is a lot like San Diego for baseball. If you put a good product on the field, the people will go. That ballpark is amazing. Absolutely. Absolutely. PNC is great. It's one of the 21 current stadiums I've been to, and it is one of the best. Still think this can be oh, yeah. Thanks, Jamie. I forgot it's pretty late out there in DC. Thanks for tuning in, bud. Go Pods. Appreciate you tuning in, man. I still think this can be a good lineup. Manny and Tatis need to hit, though. Yeah, well, Manny had a good game today. He hit that big 3-run homer today. He's drawing a lot of walks, which means he's staying in the strike zone and not chasing as much. That's encouraging to me. So hopefully he keeps that up. Obviously, great to see him hit a big home run today because we go as Manny goes. That's been said for years. Yeah, Marquez does have good numbers against the Pirates in the past, and current Pirates don't have very much success against him at all. So that is absolutely true. If he can't do good tomorrow, though, you got to get him out of there. I mean, he's probably just not good anymore. Hold on, I got to turn the light on here. It's so dark. All right, there we go. That's better. It's just so dark. Ty France or Nick Castellanos? I'll say Castellanos. You need the bat off the bench. Ty France, he pretty much. I know he had the double on Saturday, but Ty France pretty much can't hit at a good enough level in the major leagues. And first base is the least important position defensively. So I know he's got a good glove over there, but it's not a very important position defensively. So I'd go Castellanos for the power potential, in a platoon or bench role. So I definitely would say Castellanos there. Sorry, Ty. Yeah, I mean, you need to play Castellanos. I honestly didn't even like removing him for defensive reasons. I thought they did that too early because then France came up with a chance where a base hit gives you a lot more breathing room, and France it's a lazy fly ball, run doesn't score. So yeah, you got to play Castellanos. I didn't because he's got something to prove. He knows this is like a last chance for him. I mean, and if it's like June and he sucks, then you cut him. Yeah, he should be in there. I don't I don't know. I mean, yeah, they gotta play him at least half the time against righties. He's gonna play against almost every lefty. He's gotta play against more righties though, too, I think. Yeah, exactly. No, you play him for like I say you play him for like you play him, you give him a shot, and then if it's June 15th and he's hitting, 220 with 5 home runs, you let him go. He doesn't make any money, at least as far as we're concerned. Philadelphia is paying most of his salary, so if it's June and he stinks, you let him go. Yeah, that was the whole thing about Castellanos is that he's not making any money. So, there was no risk to it. If he was bad, you could just get rid of him. So, I don't know. I mean, he had a big hit today. I'd like to see him more. I don't get why he didn't play opening day. The whole ceremonial thing for opening day. It's one of those things where I get it, but I don't get it. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that Stammen could have done better. He should have pinch ran for Andujar with Bryce Johnson. Because I think a faster runner would have scored on that ball Bogarts hit in the gap. And that spot wasn't going to most likely come up again. So you should have put Johnson in to run there for Andujar. Stammen still has some work to do as a manager, but I'm glad that he's flexible with the lineup and isn't stubborn about it. So, but he's still got to do better. He's got to not trust Wandy so much. He's got to know when to take guys out, and he messed up not putting in a pinch runner for Andujar there. And even in the ninth inning, why was Sheets running the bases there? I mean, Sheets wasn't going to stay in the game on defense. I mean, it didn't matter because he went to third on a ball anybody would have got to third on, tagged and scored on a ball anybody would have tagged and scored on, but he wasn't going to play the field after that. Why would you not pinch run with Bryce Johnson there? I mean, that didn't matter. So Stammen's got to be better about knowing stuff like that. Exactly. We have, three outfielders out there who are pretty good with the glove. You didn't need Johnson for defense, so use him there. I mean, it didn't matter, but it could have mattered. Like, can you imagine if Sheets got thrown out at the plate on a medium depth fly ball and you didn't get that insurance run because of it? That would have been terrible. Like Bryce Johnson didn't get in the game anyway, so you should have used him there. Mm, and you should have used him really to pinch run for Andujar in the seventh inning on the ball that Bogarts hit in the gap. Of course, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the lineup flexibility is great because all year long, because I think what happened last year with Tatis, at least part of it, it doesn't explain the whole thing, but I think part of it was that, we got off that hot start in April, and then people realized, like, why are we letting him beat us with like doubles and triples? Arise doesn't do anything behind him. So then he started getting pitched around because Arise was a non threat behind him, yet Schilk helped Arise in the two hole basically all season long. I mean, so Stammen having flexibility like that is good. And I think who knows? Maybe today he found a combination that worked. I hope so. Liriano, Tatis, Merrill, Machado as your 1 through 4. Keep that. You guys got anything else for me? I like Liriano lead off too because Liriano, he sees a bunch of pitches. He's going to grind out at bats. He's got a little pop. He can hit the ball in the gap. He'll work the count. Liriano is like, I think Liriano should be in the leadoff hole for sure. I like Liriano leading off. Yeah, the shoulder definitely hurt Tatis. It's either the shoulder, steroids, or both with Tatis. I mean, It's either A steroids, B the shoulder, C all the above. Yeah, you'd have to ask Tom that, Adam. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. But that would make sense. Yeah, exactly. It feels like Liriano's like a smart player too. Like Liriano will, he knows, hey, I can't strike out in this situation. I have to hit a ball to the right side of the field to get the guy to third base. Liriano seems to know that kind of stuff. I think Michigan wins. But I said the winner of Michigan and Arizona was going to win the national title going into that game. As far as how much do I care about the thing about here's the Michigan thing for me is that the Michigan football thing for me started because you know my whole thing with being a football fan was when the Chargers were here. I was like, okay, the Chargers, are an NFL team. They can win a Super Bowl. Then they leave, and the way when the Chargers were in San Diego, the way I watched the big college games was I'd watch, the big games and be like, oh, that player will be great on the Chargers when he's eligible for the NFL draft. Obviously, the Chargers leave, and then I'm like, well, how am I supposed to watch these big games? And then around that same time was when my high school best friend, he went to Michigan, and he texted me, hey, go Aztecs. I'll be like, and I'm not, we'd watch games together when he was here. I do the same thing with him in Michigan. So and I was like, well, San Diego State football can't win a national title. My best friends, goes to Michigan. We watch games together, so I'll start rooting for them. As like, my big college team, root for somebody to win a national title. Since I don't have an NFL team here anymore to root for a Super Bowl. Michigan basketball, though, like the Aztecs in basketball are much more relevant on a national scale to the point where it's like almost like having an NBA team with the Aztecs here. So because Aztec basketball is like relevant on a national scale, I don't care nearly as much about Michigan basketball as Michigan football because a San Diego team is relevant on a national scale in basketball. That's a good question, though. But yeah, I always felt that the Michigan Arizona winner was going to win the national title. I actually didn't. I picked Duke to win it all in my bracket. And I honestly wouldn't feel confident about that even if they didn't choke against UConn because Michigan's looking like you remember that Michigan team at the start of the season when they blew out us in Vegas, they blew out Auburn in Vegas, they blew out Gonzaga in Vegas. They've been looking like that team again. Obviously what they did on the first weekend against Howard and St. Louis. They started slow against Alabama, ended up winning by like 15. They ran away from Tennessee and ran away from Arizona. So yeah, I I had Duke beating Arizona in the national championship game. So I actually had Arizona beating Michigan in the Final Four. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Adam. Yeah, I'm gonna do these at least once a week, probably every Sunday evening around this time. And if the Padres, have a really exciting win or get a sweep of a team or something, then I'll do an additional one. But I'll probably do these every Sunday around this time. Thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. Do I pay attention to women's college basketball? I watch the tournament for the woman, and I follow Aztecs women's basketball. Um, to answer your question, Tom. And when Caitlin Clark was at Iowa, I followed that too. Ownership. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the corner of Dan Friedkin. Um, that's my pick for owner. I don't know about you guys. I'm in Dan Friedkin. I'm a Dan Friedkin guy though because I've read about what he's done with Everton. The guy really wants to own more sports teams here in the US. He tried to buy the Celtics a few years ago. So, this guy wants to own sports teams, it's not a huge qualifier for me. It's not by no means is it a prerequisite or a requirement. But the fact that he was born here doesn't hurt his cause. He's there's been rumors about him trying to bring the NHL to Houston. He's just a well-rounded sports guy. Everton's improved both financially and on the pitch since he bought them. So I'm all in on Dan Friedkin. He just kind of seems like an interesting guy too. So definitely Dan Friedkin. Tom Gores would probably be fine. I mean, the Pistons are doing well in recent years. He showed with the Monty Williams contract, he's not afraid to eat money if, a guy's owed a lot of money, but he's performing poorly. I've read things where, Pistons players have been like, he's been great with getting us resources for what we need. Um, he'd probably be okay. I mean, I know the Pistons haven't been good until recently, but what the Pistons have done recently makes me think Tom Gores would probably be fine. Not a Joe Wake up fan because Golden State, the Warriors just aren't good, when Curry's out. They've really struggled when Curry's been out. And I don't care that he has 4 rings. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf has 6 rings or because of Michael Jordan. Joe Wake has 4 rings because of Steph Curry and the old GM who's not there anymore, Bob Myers. Dan Gilbert's terrible. He has a ring. So I'm not a Joe Wake guy. Jose E. Feliciano, I really know nothing about. I've seen Chelsea fans complain about him, although I've heard that some international soccer fans always complain. But Feliciano's net worth is only like 4 billion. I probably know on Feliciano, but I really don't know that much about him in all honesty. But Dan Friedkin's my clear number one choice, and I'd probably say Tom Gore's second. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that whole if Tom Gores buys the rest of the Chargers thing. I know Togerson said that he heard that Gores, quote unquote, doesn't like Spanos more than anybody else does and that he wants to buy him out eventually. But then there's some people saying, like, when he bought that stake, there was an agreement that he couldn't look to purchase the rest of the Chargers. So I'm not going to get into that today. That's a story for years down the road. Um, he's interesting too, though. He's probably a distant second to me to Dan Friedkin for my top choice for owner, though. All right, you guys got anything else for me? Otherwise, I might wrap this up. All right. Anything else, guys? All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Come back next week.